In a neighborhood far, far away, 5 university girls went on an adventure to find out all the mysteries hidden in the area surrounding the Jaarbeurs and the Croeselaan. What made this area so fantastic? What gave it character? They had a rough start, but they managed to tackle all the obstacles encountered on their way.
The mission the girls had was clear. They wanted to record everything that would help them to understand how the neighborhood came to be. But the visuals themselves didn't tell the story of the area enough, they thought. Quite frankly, buildings and playgrounds don't say much. That's when they came up with the amazing idea of interviewing people on the streets. But then they thought,
to be able to properly understand the area between Jaarbeurs and Croeselaan, we first need to take a look at its history. After the First World War, there was a sharp decrease in international trade in the Netherlands, and therefore there was an increase in domestic trade. The Jaarbeurs, a large building where many events can be held, was created as a result because it provided a place to hold meetings where important issues could be discussed. It is placed next to the central station in Utrecht because it is in a central location of the city that is easily accessible to everyone.
The Jaarbeurs Hall was built in 1916. As it is a large hall made for events, it attracts internationally and nationally recognized artists and events. Beginning in 1917, the Jaarbeurs Center increased the economic activity of the area. This increase was accompanied by international attention.
During the Second World War, the events in the Jaarbeurs were forbidden by the Nazis. However, after the World War, important meetings were held again inside the Jaarbeurs. There was additionally a great increase in the amount of people attending these meetings, and as a result, the Jaarbeurs then moved itself into the street called Croeselaan in order to expand.
What do you guys work as here for the Jaarbeurs Center?
We do mostly hospitality work and catering. Yeah, so we are the hostess of this event and we welcome everybody. We show them around where to go, put our jackets away, and if you have questions about where to go or what you want to do here, we're the first people you have to speak to.
Do you guys get a lot of visitors from beyond the Netherlands here?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
last week there was an event and people from France and England and Germany, they also were here. So
Yeah, it was the biggest event in the whole of Europe.
Wow.
So everyone's coming here. It was verzamelaarsbeurs. People who collect some sort of vintage stuff. So this is the main event in Europe, so everyone's coming to Utrecht.
Today, the Jaarbeurs attracts tourists and locals due to the breadth of fairs and conferences it hosts. Some visitors are eager to become informed about eco-socio-political issues, while others prefer to browse the goods and activities offered by certain conventions and fairs using the Jaarbeurs facilities. It does not cater to a specific demographic, but rather to a certain mindset, as curious and learned individuals often flock to the doors.
On the 12th and 13th of November 2016, the largest vintage collectors' fair in Europe was held in the Jaarbeurs Center. With more than 2,000 exhibition stands showcasing retro and antique collectibles, this event attracts a high level of publicity and record numbers of visitors. Vintage items include art collectibles, designs, music, books, coins, postcards, toys, archaeological finds, furniture, glass, etc. Pieces are brought from all over the world, all conglomerating in a social stratosphere that is the Jaarbeurs.
Globalization embodies the movement of information, capital, and people. Globalization accomplishes this movement through the integration of social, political, and economic interactions and processes on a global scale. Since places are always socially constructed, they are the articulations of various external relations. These relations may be economic, for example trade connections, or political.
A place is never truly cut off from the outside, and thus reflects some external elements. The growing intensity of globalization of late has increased the exposure of these connections with the exterior. As a result, the global becomes recognizable in the local community. The global manifests itself within the local in many ways, through the emergence of cultural cuisine, exotic shops and markets, and services originally thought not typical of that society. Massey terms this representation of the global in the local, global. By looking at these aspects of the global within the local, geographers can recognize the diversity globalization entails and infer the possible relations at play.
as we visited the area more often, we got a more cohesive understanding of the area as a whole and the different factors that help define the unique character of the area between the Jaarbeurs and the Croeselaan. We noticed many things that we read about during our preliminary research and saw aspects of the neighborhood that were still unfamiliar to us.
In general, the area is very family-oriented, and the architecture is predominantly modern and most of the houses are built in the same style. Most of the buildings were built in the beginning of the 21st century. There is very little international influence in the architectural style. The big windows with all the lovely trinkets are typical of Dutch architecture. Judging by the newer construction and the quality of housing in the area, a few things about the residents could be deduced. It was found that the prevailing socioeconomic class in the area is the middle class. The general population is quite young, most likely because of the hip vibe of the area and the presence of the Jaarbeurs Entertainment Center. The area is also gaining more and more younger residents who are moving into the newer apartment buildings with great access to the surrounding amenities.
The socioeconomic status of the area was also evident in the services available in the area. There were banks, for example Rabobank, different stores, a cinema, restaurants and cafes. The restaurants, cafes and stores in the area also pointed towards the multicultural composition of the population. There is a Japanese restaurant and an American-style eatery. These diverse dining options exemplified the assimilation of various cultural cuisine into the residents' daily lives and consumer patterns.
In addition to these restaurants, the global was incorporated into the local in the availability of produce sourced outside of the Netherlands and the European region as a whole. An example of the diversity in consumer products was seen in an Asian supermarket. The products were from different origins, such as Thailand and other areas of Southeast Asia. All the products sold in the supermarket are not typically Dutch, but show that the area itself has a demand for such products.
It was then inferred that the residents in the area are from many different cultural backgrounds. Other services in the area were also specialized and culturally specific. A seamstress who specializes in repairing burqas and hijabs was also located near the Asian supermarket.
Nou, deze huizen waren best wel duur, prijzig. Dus voor de gewone middenklasse niet echt betaalbaar, denk ik. En in de loop der tijd, nadat er hier veel meer gebouwd is zijn de huizen heel veel duurder geworden. Mm-hmm. Dus je ziet dat mensen die tweeverdieners, jonge gezinnen, die allebei werken, dat die hier komen dat die deze huizen kunnen betalen. Het grote verschil is dat als je vanuit de Jaarbeurs bezien de linkerkant van de Croeselaan neemt, dat is een meer volkse buurt. Dus waar vrijwel geen nieuwbouw is en waar veel sociale woningen zijn, maar ook koopwoningen. Maar dan koopwoningen voor starters, wat kleinere woningen. En de rechterkant van de Jaarbeurs is veel nieuwer. Het is een nieuwere wijk, want niet alleen onze huizen, maar ook de huizen die naar de Jaarbeurs en de haven toe gaan. Dat zijn allemaal, dat is een hele grote nieuwbouwwijk, dus daar heb je heel veel koopwoningen in de duurdere segment. Ja, toch wel bij de sociale woningen heb je veel Marokkanen en Turkse gezinnen die daar wonen. In deze buurt zijn het toch vaak de Nederlandse gezinnen. Van de Jaarbeurs zelf denk ik eigenlijk niet, omdat de Jaarbeurs was daar al heel lang, die is daar al bijna 80, 90 jaar. Mm-hmm. De veilinghal die hier eerst was, die had daar natuurlijk wel mee te maken met de Jaarbeurs. Maar ik denk de wijk op zich niet. Ik denk dat eerder het Centraal Station een grotere rol speelt in deze wijk van de Jaarbeurs. Ja, zowel qua organisatie als qua hallen niet zo heel erg veel. Dat begint nu. Ik heb daar gewerkt tot 13 jaar geleden. En qua hallen is er niet echt veel bijgekomen. Maar je merkt nu met het nieuwe stadskern die zich nu echt gaat ontwikkelen. Dat er is een nieuwe megabioscoop uit de grond geknald, zeg maar. Het Centraal Station, daar is toch wel het een en ander veranderd. Jaarbeurs profileert zich meer met musicals. Dat is echt toen ik er werkte, kwam dat net op. En nu is het echt zo van het Beatrix Theater, dat is een onderdeel ervan. Maar qua beurzen en qua hallen is er niet zo heel erg veel veranderd. Maar ik denk dat in de loop van de jaren wel het een en ander gaat veranderen daarin.
Throughout our exploration of the Croeselaan area, we have concluded that gentrification has played a major role in the development of the neighborhood. As those in need of government housing originally populated the area, tourist-based resources, namely the Jaarbeurs Center and Utrecht Centraal, quickly evolved the region into a middle-class zone.
Our findings can be mainly defined using Mees' term locality, as the local area contains a variety of industries, restaurants, and services from diverse backgrounds, catering to a demographic that has been largely diversified through globalization. Despite this exposure to global industries, the area still remains predominantly Dutch, probably as a consequence of the inflated housing market of the area.